Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For the honor of Maulana wa Sayyidina Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, recite the salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إلهنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين سيما بقية الله في السماوات والأراضين. قال الله الحكيم في القرآن الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر. ليلة القدر خير من 1000 شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. Tonight is one of the possible nights to be the night of power, the night of destiny, and night of Qadr. And also is the night that the coming morning, next day technically, it's the time that Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he went to the mosque to lead the prayer in his morning prayer, was attacked and eventually a fatal strike that caused his shahada 2 days later occurred on the 19th of Ramadan on the early hours of the morning. So truly we see that Quran and Ahlul Bayt as the Prophet in tradition that is being narrated by Shia and Sunni, that he said, إِنِّي تَارِكٌ فِيكُمُ الثَّقَلَيْنِ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ وَعِتْرَتِي. Even if you look at Ahlul Sunnah books of tradition, we see that the word was not Kitab Allah wa Sunnati. It was Kitab Allah wa Itrati. We are followers of the Sunnah and tradition of the Prophet without a doubt. But the tradition of the Prophet is that, my people, I will leave you with two heavy, weighty things. In tamassak bihima, if you hold on to these two, lan tadhillu ba'di, you will never be misguided. You will be never deviated from the path of Allah. One is Quran, the book of God, and the second, itrati, my progeny and family, Ahlul Bayt. And the night of the 19th is a time that we see the moment of merging Quran and Ahlul Bayt of the Prophet. Possible night of revelation of Quran, and also the night of elevation of the soul of Quran, the talkative Quran, the symbol of Quran, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Recite the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So, for the next few nights, I would like to talk about the event which is surrounding the name of Ali ibn Abi Talib, and to understand who we believe to be the successor of the Prophet, and what are the qualities of this man that make him truly the only worthy brother of the Prophet. And I wanted to understand that as followers of the school of Ahlul Bayt, It's been said over and over that our responsibility is to look and search for the truth. We have to look for haqq. Even if it's bitter, we have tradition. And أقول الحق ولو كان مرة. Imam Sadiq said, if you want to be a mu'min, a true faithful person, you have to say the truth even if it's bitter. And that's the reason in School Ahlul Bayt, the ideology is always encouragement to question why we believe in what we believe. To don't take what we believe for granted, and to also understand that we're not afraid of people asking questions. We have to be proud of that and we have to admire that. And as a Shia of Ali ibn Abi Talib, as a follower of Ali ibn Abi Talib, I will tell you, go study all the other madhahib of Islam. Go study other sect of Muslims. We are not concealing anything, and we believe the path that we follow. We must believe in what we follow to be the right path. Other way, if the only reason I'm Shia is because my father and my ancestors were Shia, that's not a value, that's not a quality. That's the same reason Christians are Christian, Hindus are Hindus, atheists are atheists. In some cases, it's because the path of forefathers chose for them. But in our ideology of Islam, you have to believe in the truth. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا. You have to seek truth and at the same time spread the truth. And when we talk about truth, and Ali ibn Abi Talib is a personality that no Muslim, all the major sect within Islam, they praise Ali ibn Abi Talib. They admire his personality. They have nothing to say about him but the qualities that the Prophet said about him, and even the other companions of the Prophet said about him. So it makes him a unique personality. He's a man of virtue, a man of action, a man of worship, a man of wisdom. And I can list you all the qualities that you can look to admire in a human being, that all are combined and gathered in the personality of Ali ibn Abi Talib. And that all was said to understand that we are who we are because we believe this is the right path. And I encourage you to do that as well. That's the reason when we talk to people who are converts and reverts, you understand a lot of them, they struggled until they found the truth. It was very difficult for them. It wasn't an easy decision. And one thing I heard a lot of these converts say is that I've seen when I go to a masjid, when I go to an Islamic center, and I see people who are born Muslim, I see that a lot of them say that we notice that they don't appreciate their faith. They don't understand what a valuable way of life God gave to them. God gave them, including Quran. That a lot of these people are inspired by Quran, just reading the translation of Quran, and they're inspired by it. But the nature of the man is, unfortunately, we always look what people have and what people possess rather than what we have, right? Is always looking outward toward others. Not even in a matter of religion, even in dunya, that's the reason people compare themselves, right? We don't look at what we have, the house that we have, or all the blessing that God gave us and we acquired. We look at what other people have, what kind of car they drive, what kind of job they have, how much money they make. This is the nature of man, and that's the reason jealousy is prevalent and common among human beings. Because we don't appreciate what we have. It's not a natural state for a human being to be grateful. It's not natural. We have to literally practice to be grateful. That's the reason we have to teach our children to say, thank you. It's like that they don't know that if somebody do you a favor, you have to say thank you, but we have to teach them. But when it comes to being arrogant, there is no reason to teach any human being about arrogance. When it comes to being selfish, there is no reason to teach people selfishness. We don't have a class about, okay, let's talk about people who share a lot. Let's just tell them to, take a step back and be a bit more selfish. And in the night of Qadr is a good question to ask ourselves, is a night of power, the night of ordainment. We believe in this night, which is greater than 1,000 months, right? In such a night, Allah revealed Quran, the final holy book, and a book that will be an everlasting miracle of the Prophet till Day of Judgment. And in such a night that any act of good in this night, the value of it will be equivalent of more than 80 years. 1,000 months, if you divide it by 12, it's more than 80. One night, if you do any act of good, including reciting Quran, including, praying, supplication, all that will be multiplied in 1,000. Charity, giving sadaqah. I know a lot of us, we do Quran holding over our head, and we do dua joshan, all that is good, is one type of being an obedient servant of God. But one other practice we should not neglect is giving sadaqah, give charity. Tonight is the night to start, not to just say, okay, one night I'm going to give, and then the rest of the year I'm going to forget about people in need. But it's a good night to start practicing, and especially tonight, because it's one of those investments that will be a guarantee 1,000 time return profit, compensation by God. And in this night, it's important to understand Ali ibn Abi Talib. Why? Because if we go without Ali ibn Abi Talib, we go without the Prophet, without his family, without the true companions of the Prophet, it's a possibility of deviance even when reading Quran. We need an example, a role model to look up to. And a lot of us, we know, we probably, if you've been in masjid and you've been in lectures, you probably have a long list of virtues and qualities of Ali ibn Abi Talib. You know his story, probably you know a lot of stories about him. But unfortunately, one thing that we usually say is Ali ibn Abi Talib is Ali ibn Abi Talib. He's at the beacon, at the top of the mountain. He's 1,000,000 miles ahead of me. So there's nothing between me and him. So I cannot be like Ali. So I do what I do. I make mistakes. And I do this slippery slope path that I have in life. And when I read about Ali, I just feel good about knowing him. But the reality is, when we read about Ali ibn Abi Talib, the minimum we have to ask ourselves is, as his last word of Ali ibn Abi Talib was, that anybody who will one day will read this and hear this, the last word, and my will, my testament, my final testament, is to be God conscious yourself. Ittaqullah. Usikum bitaqwallah. My last advice is for you to be God conscious yourself. That at least if you're not like Ali, and we cannot be like him, he's the Imam, he's the leader, at least be on the same path as Ali ibn Abi Talib. It's like if somebody, imagine if you're in a marathon, and there's somebody who practices a lot, and there's a champion at the in front of us. Probably he already finished even the end line, right? He's the one that actually is actually victorious at the end of that marathon. The minimum is, as a participant in that marathon, be at the same path, at the same road. Not going opposite direction. Oh, I have no chance of winning, let me go the other way. At least, even if you're going to finish 10 hours later, at least it's still in the same path. And if we call ourselves follower Ali ibn Abi Talib, that's what he taught humanity. to understand who we are, to appreciate the value that we have as a successor of God on earth. But unfortunately, we become more of, like zombies right now. Literally zombies. Spend hours and hours liking other people's photo, drooling over people's photo and what they have, the life that they have. Having headphones in our ears and our parents sitting across of us and not even talking to them. What's a zombie? Be becoming more and more less human on daily basis. We're very good at posting good comments on the people's posts, but actually come to the masjid, go and talking to somebody, we're not capable of that. We're losing this skill of human connection. Autism is one of those issues that a lot of people deal with, but the reality is a lot of people who are not maybe suffering from autism, they become autistic in a way that they cannot really digest emotion, interact with people properly. And a lot of it happened because our understanding of the world is now everything that is not real. It's not real. It's TV shows and movies and Twitter and Instagram. There's no real connection. We're drowned in an imaginary world. People say, I have 500 followers. How many real friends do you have? I have, couple, 10K followers in my Instagram page. But how many real friends do you have? This is the issue of our time. This is one of the problems of our time. And in the night of God, what we want to learn from Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, to be inspired by the way that he lived and learned from him. And one lesson from Ali ibn Abi Talib, that inshallah is something that also Quran over and over repeats and encourage humanity to do so, is to don't be so attached to dunya. Don't put all your eggs in the basket of dunya. Don't put all your efforts and struggle in dunya. That is the biggest advice of Quran. Why? Because ultimately this dunya has an expiration date. But your soul does not have one. What is the purpose of life? Allama Ja'far is a well-known scholar. He's a man of philosophy, mysticism. And he was invited to a university in the West to give a talk. And then he asked a question from the student. And he said, how you can determine someone's value? What is the worth of a human being? What is the price? What's the price tag that you can put on a human being? And everybody look at each other and say, what do you mean? Tell me, what's the worth of humanity? What's the standard? What is the scale? And everybody said something. And then he said, Allama Ja'fari himself, he said, the worth of humanity is based on the worth of their goals and purpose in life. Whatever is that purpose and goal, that's the value of their life, because that's all they invested their life for. And everyone said, that's amazing. We did not look at it that way. It makes sense. If on my entire life I invested every second, every day, all the good and happy moments and all the energy for one purpose or for this specific goal, that is the value of my life. That's the purpose of my life. That's the worth. And he said, I did not come up with this answer myself. This is the word of Ali ibn Abi Talib. What's the goal of life? If the goal of life is to become an engineer, that's it. That's all the goal you have. Your worth is at that level of being an engineer. It's not to discourage us from acquiring knowledge. I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to discourage anyone from being active, from being able to stand on their own feet and helping others and helping themselves, taking care of themselves financially and their families. I'm not trying to discourage that. But what Islam is saying, that be careful that the dunya does not take over. That you're not in charge. If you're not in charge of dunya and dunya is in charge of you, you lost the battle. You do not because something that you believe in it, that because you have to, is because expected to do. And I ask people, why you are so eager to have this? Do you want it? No, but everybody have it. I have big issue with people buying phones for their kids. It's their decision, all due respect to all of them. And I said, should I buy one? And I asked them, why? What's the need? So everybody, this is the reason. Imagine that's the reason we have. Everybody has one. And I said, even if everybody has one, what's the point? There should be a use for it. Is there a use for it? We don't even think about it anymore because everybody does it, we do it. We become blind followers. The word that I'm referring to, this detachment from dunya, is zuhud. Zuhud. Detachment. Another terminology that they use is asceticism. Asceticism. Zuhud. And Ali ibn Abi Talib is a man who became the caliph of an empire, the Muslim empire at the time that he became the Khalifa. That today, right now, if you go to look at that border of that empire, now today is 50 countries. 50 countries were under the rule of Ali ibn Abi Talib when he became the Khalifa. It was the most powerful power from the territory to the army and every aspect at his time. No other powerful power was even close to the governance of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Not 50 states, 50 countries. And then we have that he had Ibn Abbas, one of his advisors. He was in his tent fixing his shoe, his sandal. And very, when you wear a shoe for a very long period of time, start wearing, having the wear and tear and start just, collapsing. So he was trying to fix that sandal. So Ibn Abbas came and said, "Oh, Commander of the Faithful, there's a delegation, there's a group of people who wants to meet you. Come." And Imam just working there, so I will come. But he continued fixing that sandal. He came back again and repeated, said, "They're waiting for you. This is a big deal." And there was a moment of teaching a lesson to Ibn Abbas. He said, "Ibn Abbas, tell me how much is the worth of this sandal? This old, worn out sandal." He said, "Nothing. Nobody's going to buy this." So Allah is the witness of Ali ibn Abi Talib that this entire governance has lesser value than this old sandal for Ali. If our Mawla and example is Ali ibn Abi Talib, would we ever have an issue over power? Over who's going to be the leader, who's going to be in charge? How many dictators today we have that they killed their own family members to be in power? The importance of zuhud and this detachment from dunya, it's a global scale problem. People sticking to the chair, to the position, to the status, and they don't want to let it go. Even in our whole sacred space, masjids, we have people doing division in the name of power. Oh, that person's not qualified to be in charge. I have to be in charge. It's a sad part of the, history of a lot of communities who were divided over this. It was not a matter of somebody say, "Oh, we should not pray anymore," or let's undermine a wajib of God, or let's do something haram. It was none of that. It was always about who said who, or who should say what. Who should be in charge. I'm not letting it go. This is Ali ibn Abi Talib telling you to don't be in love with dunya. And then we see marriage. In marriage, oh, it's my money, oh, it's my money. You spend my money. This my money and your money, whole thing come from this possession, this thirst of I have to be the owner. And what kind of relationship that marriage will have? You tell me? It's your job to provide for me. It's your job to cook for me. It's your job and your job, and saying these kind of thing that destroys that compassion, that connection that's supposed to be there. And children watching this, and one day they have to become the husbands and the wives of the future. And they see, and this is what they learn. The nature of dunya is deceiving man. That's what the nature of dunya is. Dunya does not want us to be fair. Why? I tell you an example. Ask that question yourself, not me. You ask that question yourself and you answer it. And the night of God, ask Allah to help you to see the truth. Ask Allah for guidance. You know, we have to look for guidance, but before reading books and searching for the truth, tonight is the best night. Go to sajda, go do 2 rakat prayers, and after that, say, Ya Allah, sincerely, I want you to guide me. That's all I want. You have all the tools to do it. If you want, you put all the pieces together for me to find the right path. Help me. And then start the struggle, because now you have the backbone to start properly. You find the right source. The nature of dunya is that the more and more you have it, the more thirsty you become. As Ali ibn Abi Talib, again, read Nahj al-Balagha, it's beautiful. It's a treasure that we don't appreciate, unfortunately. So the nature of dunya is that the more and more you have is like you drinking from the ocean. It's not going to satisfy your thirst. You're going to get more thirsty. We will never feel fulfilled. We think if I buy this house, I buy this car, I go to this trip, I will be set. And I tell you, we won't. Unless we have qina'ah, unless we have contentment, we have that zuhd and detachment, we will not be satisfied. We won't. And how many times we've seen in our own experience that that's the case. Forget about the examples of history, ourselves, that I told myself, if I have this, I will be happy. How many times we made that promise? I give you example of children, parents that say, my child told me, my son, my daughter told me, buy me this car and I will do everything for you. Let me have this piece of dunya and then I will be the best son, the best daughter you could ever have. I will, drop off and, pick up my siblings. I will do grocery shopping for you and all that. It all takes a while for some individual to say, okay, now there's another goal. I have to now, this car is not in my, satisfaction. I need something better, right? Let's focus on another goal. That's the nature of man. If we come to that point, that I say, okay, all this dunya, if I lose all of that, is not going to impact the way of my life. I'm not going to become immoral if I don't have money. I'm not going to be a thief if I, bankrupt. Then it means I'm not detached to dunya. Because sometimes our religion is attached to dunya. It means as long as I have dunya, I have religion. If everything is going well, I do fast, right? I do my prayers, all of that. I night taqad, of course, I will show up. Everything is going well. The moment a problem comes up, God, why did you do to the, why did you did this to me? As Quran said, يَقُولُ رَبِّي أَهَانًا. You humiliated me. Why you took away your blessing from me? It's like that all the prophets of God had it easy and now I have to have it easy too. And I finish with this. Another statement of Ali ibn Abi Talib, again in Nahj al-Balagha. He compared the dunya to something that is, despiseful to even think about. So the whole power, the hukuma, the governance, all this power, to Ali ibn Abi Talib has less value the entire dominion that I'm ruling over has less value in the eyes of Ali ibn Abi Talib than the mucus of a running nose of a goat. Imagine that. How disgusting that is to even think about. This power has less value than that in the eyes of Ali ibn Abi Talib. And when we have a bit of power, this power could be just buying a car, and now I can drive anywhere I want. That's the kind of power, right? Independence. We have a bit of power of making some money. We don't know anyone anymore. Some of us, God forbid. I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about myself. The dunya takes over, the arrogance takes over. And if that's the case, we have very, very minimal amount of commonalities with Ali ibn Abi Talib. And to be Shia Ali ibn Abi Talib, to follow Ali ibn Abi Talib, and I encourage you to go study all the leaders of the religions and outside religion, and find someone like Ali ibn Abi Talib. I challenge you, go do so. Somebody as brave, as knowledgeable, as wise, as compassionate as him. In the history of Islam, in the history of humanity, go find one. Let me know if you found one. Because as I said, he's someone that his enemies confess of his greatness. They can't, even his enemies cannot hide his qualities. That's the man. May Allah inshallah give us the tawfiq in the night of Ghadr to follow Ali ibn Abi Talib, to listen to the advice and the teaching of Ali ibn Abi Talib, to follow the path that he himself was a wayfarer of that path. He himself lived that. Is not one of those that we just preach and we do our own thing, right? I preach and then I do something different. Ali ibn Abi Talib is a man, if he preaches something, he already did it. And even to a degree that we have one of the companions came to Imam Ali alayhi salam, and Imam told him, I don't expect you to eat the way that Ali ibn Abi Talib eats. Because you used to eat very simple. His food was a loaf of bread that was dry, that was difficult to break. So you can't eat like Ali ibn Abi Talib. I don't expect you to eat like Ali ibn Abi Talib. I don't want you to dress the way I dress. Because he said, I will eat and I will dress that the lowest, the poorest, the weakest member of the community and the society, that I am the governor, I'm the ruler over them, will say, oh, I eat what Ali eats. If I'm a poorest member of the society, when I wear something, say, oh, at least Ali, the leader, the one in charge, he dresses like me. That's the reason when tonight, when he went to Kulthum's house, he was the guest. Every night he learned lessons. He divided the nights of Ramadan between his children. He didn't show favoritism toward his children. He would go to his daughter's house, to his son's house, have this basically rotation. So tonight, the night of 19th, was the turn of Kulthum, his daughter. So in the time of iftar, Kulthum brought, what she brought? Some salt, some milk, and bread. 3 things. And then Imam alayhi salam said to his daughter, my daughter, Kulthum, how many times you saw your dad eat his bread with something more than one type of food? That you brought me 2 types. There is salt and there is milk. Take away one. Because a poor person cannot have that, choices. When you're sitting at iftar tonight and every night in Ramadan in your house or masjid, remember those who don't have this option. Oh, I can have more rice. Shaykh, can you ask them to change the rice? Remember that people don't have that option. There are areas in the world that they don't have that option. And what we did for them, $1 a night at least for them. It's easy to say, oh, it's, getting boring or repetitive. So he asked his daughter to remove one of them. So Kulthum went to remove the salt, to leave the milk. And he said, my daughter, take the milk. I don't want to leave this dunya with a full stomach. ما به فارسی میگیم حداقل اگر مردیم با شکم پر از دنیا بریم، نه؟ میگه حالا کی گفته که دایت بکنیم، کی گفته که پرهیز بکنیم؟ حداقل سیر از دنیا بریم. امیرالمومنین شب آخر زندگیش گفت دخترم نمک رو بردار، نمک رو بگذار، شیر رو بردار، من نمیخوام با شکم پر از دنیا برم. The weakest member of the society, that's the meal of Ali ibn Abi Talib. And he said, I don't want you to live like me. I don't expect you to do this, but have taqwa. Be pious. Whatever way of life you have, be pious. And after he finished his food, he started praying. And Kulthum said, most of the night Ali ibn Abi Talib spent the night in ruku' and sujood. The final night of Ali was praying. And he would come often to the yard outside the house and look at the sky and look at the stars. Said, هذه الليلة, this is the night. This is the promised night. And when it come to the morning prayer, he made wudu, prepared to leave for masjid. We have that Kulthum had some ducks in her house. The ducks start coming in front of Ali ibn Abi Talib, started making a scene. And Kulthum came to remove them, to stop bothering Imam alayhi salam. And Imam said, my daughter, release them, let them go, because soon you will be busy, that you yourself will be crying. Let them go. And he came to the masjid by the morning salat. And that night he went and did the adhan himself. He went on the ma'adhana, he went on the tower, started doing the adhan, and the people of Kufa heard for the last time the voice of Ali ibn Abi Talib. And when he started leading the prayer, Ibn Muljam was among the people in the masjid. He waited for the Imam to go to first prostration, first sajda. And when he sat down from the first sajda, Ibn Muljam attacked him from behind. Nobody dared to fight Ali face to face. It's a time of salat. It's a vulnerability of Ali that he's connected with his Lord at that moment. And he knew it. And he is the one who asked Ali ibn Abi Talib to repent from shirk. Call Ali ibn Abi Talib a mushrik. We have that few nights before this, he wrote a letter to Imam Ali and said he demanded Ali ibn Abi Talib to repent from shirk, from being a polytheist. Ali ibn Abi Talib being called a mushrik. And at that night, the strike of Ibn Muljam came down to the same place, because Imam Ali had an old injury from the Battle of Khandaq. The Battle of Khandaq, he fought with Amr ibn Abduwad, the well-known warrior of Arab, that physically was much bigger than Imam Ali alayhi salam, that when he struck Imam Ali alayhi salam, we have that his hood was split and the sword reached his head. So he had an injury on his head. And the sword of Ibn Muljam came down in the exact place. But this sword was covered and dipped into deadly poison. You know what's the amazing thing? That when that strike happened, Imam Ali alayhi salam did not make a noise. He didn't scream. He didn't cry. He did his prayer. And after the prayer was over, he said, Bismillah wa billah wa ala millati Rasulillah fuztu wa rabbil Kaaba. In the name of Allah, in the name of the nation of the Prophet of God, and I swear by the Lord of Kaaba, that I reached success and joy. فُزْتُ وَرَبِّ الْكَعْبَةِ. In this night, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us appreciate the leadership of Ali ibn Abi Talib. To know the amount of sacrifice he made. A man who was born in the house of God, in Kaaba, killed in the house of God, spent his lifetime serving God. To recognize who he was and how he served Allah and the religion. And today, if we acquire everything we have from Ali ibn Abi Talib, we're in the safe side. There is no more credible, more trustworthy, more authentic source than Ali ibn Abi Talib to the Prophet. Because he is the gate of knowledge. If you want the city, as Prophet said, I am the city of knowledge and Ali is the gate. So go to the right side. There's no need for us to climb the wall and find some untrustworthy source. Ali ibn Abi Talib is the source. Let's inshallah distribute the Quran, and we inshallah remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the revelation of this book in this month. And as I said, ask Allah to help us, to guide us. That if we are a seeker of truth, to be a finder of truth, inshallah. Let's say as-salam to Imam alayhi salam and be ready, inshallah, for the majlis and program for the Quran, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.